Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey guys, welcome to this new episode of the New Warehouse Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Lawton. Today we're joined by Tom Carbott, who's the Senior Vice President of Exhibitions Materials at MHI. We're going to talk to Tom about MHI, and we're also going to talk to Tom about MHI's big event, which is ProMat, happening this year in Chicago. We will actually be on site there. The New Warehouse will be, and we'll be doing some live coverage from there and interviews from the floor as well. Tom, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Kevin. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks for being on. I definitely want to bring you on, kind of talk about ProMat and MHI as well, and give our listeners kind of an idea of what that is if they weren't familiar. So I guess why don't we start out, why don't you tell me what is MHI exactly?
Yeah, happy to. MHI is a trade association that actually had its founding back in 1947 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and has been in existence since that time. It's currently located in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm speaking from today. The offices moved from Pittsburgh to Charlotte in 1986, so we've been here for some time now. And in essence, we promote the industry on behalf of our members. We have a little over 800 companies that are members of MHI worldwide. And our core mission for them is to help promote what their solutions are to their customers, who in most cases are the end user, the consumer.
Okay, very interesting. So what was the reason for the move from Pittsburgh to North Carolina? Just curious.
Yeah, it was, I think, a matter of change. That it was, at that time, the association was going from a professional management group that managed the affairs of the association to a decision to hire their own staff. And the CEO that they decided on was located in Charlotte. So,
okay. So you favored the CEO, huh?
Yeah, he didn't want to move to Pittsburgh, so they moved to Pittsburgh to Charlotte, and it's been here ever since. So, but one time there was a lot of activity that went on in Pittsburgh, and it was located in an area of Pittsburgh called Fox Chapel, which is quite a ways from the airport. And that, I think, probably was the biggest reason that they used to relocate the association was where we're at here in Charlotte. We're 15 minutes from the airport, and that was a selling feature. But all told, there's about 30 staff here that make up the association staff, and we're all located here in Charlotte.
Oh, okay, so accessibility, basically. All right,
yeah, I think that probably was it. And, it's worked out well. I think nobody has complained about it being in Charlotte, and it's been quite some time now.
Yeah, nobody wants to avoid you in the winter, I guess, right?
Oh, right. Exactly.
All right, so I saw you've been involved with MHI for quite a long time, correct?
Yeah, I actually came to work for a company based in Charlotte in 1979. And this company called Duff Norton was a member of MHI. Mm-hmm. And unbeknownst to me, when I got to the job and started to go over my job description, I found out that I was going to represent Duff Norton as a member of the Hoist Manufacturers Institute, which is one of 18 sub-associations which are part of MHI. Okay. And so that was my first exposure to it, and as a member. And then I came to work here for the association in 1992, and we'll be leaving the association in June of this year after ProMat. So it'll be about 27 years and change that I've been on staff, and probably another 10, 11 years as a member. So wow. It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you know MHI in and out, I guess.
I don't know if it's in and out, but I know probably more than I need to know. So.
All right, sounds good. So I guess the big event for MHI, right, is ProMat. So how long has ProMat been happening?
Well, it's an interesting story because the name ProMat started out in 1985.
Okay.
And it was basically a modification of the theme, which was productivity through material handling. And it got formalized in 1985 as ProMat, and it's held every other year on the odd number of years in Chicago at McCormick Place. But prior to that, it was every year there was a show, and it was just simply called the National Material Handling Show. And that dates back to actually 1947. And that show used to move around to different venues. And but since 1985, it's been anchored as ProMat in Chicago.
Interesting. So what is the event basically for people that maybe haven't heard of it or are unfamiliar with it?
Sure. Now, it is one of the, well, in fact, for North and South America, it's the largest exposition of its kind in the sense that it serves the material handling industry. And probably the best way to describe what you'll see when you come to a ProMat is there'll be close to 1,000 exhibitors showing solutions taking up about 425,000 net square feet. So it's a mammoth show. It's ranked in the top 50 of trade shows held in the United States. And it is really a showcase of every solution you can imagine that you would need within the four walls of a distribution warehouse or a manufacturing or assembly facility. Once you get outside the four walls and the broader supply chain, the other event that we do opposite years of ProMat is called Modex, and that's held in Atlanta, and that's just a little bit smaller than ProMat, but that is a broader supply chain show that encompasses transportation, logistics, all the things that bring product and materials into the four walls, as well as take them out to their ultimate destination. But ProMat has been recognized, I think, pretty much as the leading exhibition for North and South America for material handling solutions.
Interesting. Okay. So you mentioned for South America too. So do you see a lot of international attendance at the show?
Yeah, we do actually, Kevin. We have the most recent ProMat that we did was 2017, prior to the one we'll do here next month.
Okay.
And we had attendees from over 110 different countries that were represented at ProMat 17. We have exhibitors from over 28 different countries that are there on the floor. So it really is a very international event, and has been that way for some time now, and keeps growing in the area of international exhibitors, international attendees.
Interesting. So, like you said, it keeps growing. So, so you said there's about 1,000 exhibitors now. Now, what about in terms of attendees? How many people do you guys expect this year will be coming through the door as an attendee?
Well, we're pretty excited. We're actually we keep a pretty good track of our progress relative to where we were 2 years ago, and at the same point in time, being 3+ weeks away from the event, right now our attendance is running about 28% ahead of what it was in 17.
Wow.
And 17 was a record year with 50,000 attendees. So we're really we're looking both at the registrations, but also more importantly, we look at the hotels, because at this point in time, the hotels require a confirmation on payment. So people that are holding on to the hotel rooms are usually a pretty good indication of who's coming. And that number is like I said, is about 28% higher than what it was in 17 for a similar point in time. So we're pretty excited. We think ProMat takes all of the South Hall in Chicago, McCormick, and also about 50% of the North Hall. The remaining 50% of the North Hall is a co-located event called Automate. And Automate is put on by the Robotics Industry Association. So between ProMat and Automate in the North Hall, that fills that hall and provides an additional 125,000 net square feet of exhibits. So put together, it's just a little shy of 600,000 net square feet.
Wow, that's a lot of space. So
yeah.
That's interesting. And I like the I like the idea of Automate too as well. We actually had somebody on the show from Quiet Logistics who worked with Locus Robotics, who's going to be at ProMat, I think. They came on, they were talking about the Locus robot. So definitely interesting stuff to see there. So what's the reason for, or what was the choice of Chicago as a location, just a centralized location?
Yeah, one of the things that was done early on is that, when we look at our exhibitors and members, one of the things that drives the venue is the proximity to their customers. And with Chicago, if you take that radius of 500 miles around the city of Chicago, you're picking up over 75% of the people that are customers or prospects to our members. That from a demographic standpoint, that's the driving reason. Plus the fact that, people indicate to us they like Chicago, they like the town, they like the hotels, the entertainment, the restaurants. There's just a lot of positive things going on, and we're here just recently having ProMat in March and April. For many years, we were in January, and that was always an adventure to be in Chicago with a show in January.
Yeah, very cold, right?
Absolutely. We're very gratified that for the foreseeable future we'll always be in late March, mid-April in that time frame. So
good. Well, we appreciate that decision.
I know. It's I hear that from people all the time. Is why January? Why Chicago? So since we've moved it, it's been a lot more easier to swallow, I guess.
Definitely. So if someone has never been to ProMat before, and they work in distribution, manufacturing industries, why would you say would be a reason for them to attend?
We'll be back after a quick break. You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, the thing that we see after every show, and we do a survey that provides us about 180 pages of data from both the attendees and the exhibitors. And for the last, I'd say, 8 to 10 shows, the number one reason for the attendees that they list is to see new things, new technology, new equipment that's new to them. It may not necessarily be new to the industry, but 2 years ago they maybe weren't working on a project or a DC or what have you, and since they've been thrust into that role, they're now looking to find the best solutions for their particular situation, and that's where a lot of people spend their time, is looking for things that are new to them. The exhibitors, probably 60% of the exhibitors have something in their booth that they would define as new. And it's not, we have an innovation awards program that's now in its 5th year, and that attracts over 100 different exhibitors who meet a pretty strict criteria for applying. There's innovation as it relates to new products, existing products, and to software. And there ultimately is 7 finalists that are visited at the show. And then the judges convene and select a winner in each category, and they are announced on Wednesday evening at Industry Night, which is a gathering of both exhibitors and attendees to kind of enjoy a very short evening with entertainment. And also those awards are announced at that time as well.
Okay, interesting. And I think I saw the Industry Night this year is Craig Ferguson, right, is the guest?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, a comedian that will be our featured entertainer for ProMat.
Okay, so another reason to attend.
yeah, and it's really it's a nice evening in the sense that it opens about 5 o'clock. There's cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and then the entertainment, and everything is done by 7 o'clock. So you still have an evening in front of you in Chicago if you so choose. But we've had people that Dana Carvey's been with us in the past, and Frank Caliendo, and Magic Johnson, and Steve Wozniak. The keynotes that come independent of Industry Night are also very valuable. I think there's a lot of good information. They're all free. They start about an hour before the show opens, and every day there's somebody different to talk about things anywhere ranging from blockchain technology for supply chains to there's a Reshma Shewani, who is the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code, and she's going to talk about the getting more women involved in supply chain and roles that they have not traditionally been involved in, and she's doing a lot of things to help raise that bar and to provide education and make it easier for people to get involved. And then as kind of a celebrity keynote on Wednesday afternoon, we have Marcus Lemonis, who has a program called The Prophet on
TV. I'm a big fan, actually, so I'm most excited for that.
Oh, great. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have to get you backstage after his presentation, and you get a chance to talk to him, and if you're interested, you can get an autograph.
Oh, okay. So you must have known that I was going to send you that email in a couple of days to ask you if you could do that for me.
That's fine. Yeah, we're happy to do that. We hear a lot of good things about Marcus, and I think we always try to switch it up a little bit so that people can have a takeaway. But most of the people that come in are pretty generous with their time. We had Steve Wozniak, as I mentioned, a couple of years ago, and his contract called for doing an hour for our audience. Mm-hmm. And on his way out, he learned that we were also running Student Day, which was going on at the same time. But due to the room capacity, we had all the students in a different room, and we were broadcasting his chat into their room. And he said, well, if you have the students here, I'd love to spend some time with them. And we escorted him down there, and he spent an hour and a half just talking to the kids. And wow. He didn't have to do that. That was pretty remarkable. And we've had similar type of things with Magic Johnson. And so we found that a lot of these people that come to talk to celebrities are pretty genuine. They're really looking to share, what they can with not only our attendees but also the attendees of the future, which are the students that are there from various universities.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's really good actually, because sometimes you hear some bad stories, but it's good to hear that you guys are bringing in people that are willing to do that, and especially with the students too. I mean, I think that makes a big impact on them. So I'm really happy to hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was actually we had just a very brief story on Magic Johnson. He came and he spoke, and he went over to visit with the kids, and he had two jerseys that he autographed, his Laker jersey, and they pulled a name out of the hat for the kids, and each kid won, in this case, a jersey from him. And when he left on his way out, he said, if you have two minority students that you would like to select, he said, on my dime, I will bring them out to Los Angeles, and they can spend a day with the Lakers and with the Dodgers and show you how that business is run. And wow. He was good to his word. He did that, and obviously it was a hit for the two kids that were selected, and it just showed me something about him as a person. So he didn't have to do it, and but he did, and I'm sure it went a long way with those two kids.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think the kids were probably disappointed. They probably were willing to trade the jersey for the other experience, yeah. But no, in all seriousness, I think they were pretty elated too. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Wow, that's great. So. So we talked about kind of, why would you attend and some of the surprises, I guess, too, of that might happen if you do attend. But if someone's going to be a first-time attendee, even like a first-time vendor, exhibitor, what advice do you have for them, I guess, to really take advantage of ProMat and get the most out of it?
Yeah, that's a good question because, we know that the show has, has grown considerably over the last 10 years, and that doesn't necessarily mean that an attendee has more disposable time. They still, I think, like most people today, everyone's dealing with a time poverty issue. So when they come to the show, it really makes a lot of sense to do as much homework as you can before you get to Chicago. Take advantage of the app. That has all sorts of agenda planning tools. It has all sorts of things that, including a wayfinder that can help get you from point A to B to C. Looking online and, getting an idea of who you want to see, and, what types of technologies you're looking for. you can get it to the point where you can really be efficient with your time. But I would also extend that. Not only you have 1,000 exhibits and actually 1,500 if you factor in automate, but we do over 100 sessions on the floor in the theaters on the floor. They're all free. They're first come, first serve. They seat anywhere from 100 to 200 people, and the information that you can get is so content rich. They're not advertorials. They're vetted pretty strictly so that the content is delivered to you in an unbiased format. It's not skewed or slanted, and these are all formatted in 45-minute sessions. We have over 12 theaters on the floor. At any one time, 6 of them are engaged, 6 of them are getting ready. So my advice to the attendee is come prepared and know what it is you want to see, and also take advantage of the complimentary education, which not only are the keynotes we spoke about, but also these on-floor seminars that are held Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. For an exhibitor, I think the challenge as a first-time exhibitor is to understand the demographics of who's walking the show, so that you can match up in the best format possible. We have typically over 60% of the Fortune 500 companies that are represented in the attendee base. We have over 80% of the e-commerce retailers represented in the attendee base. So, there's my advice to exhibitors is, do as much as you can before the show and pre-market planning. Take advantage of a lot of the tools we offer as an organizer, which are free. Some of them do have costs associated, but the majority are free. And the difference is, the analogy I use is the guy that goes out in the lake to go fishing, and he's got all the electronics and the fish finders and all the tools he needs to be successful that day fishing, versus the other guy that rows out in the middle of the lake and waits for fish to jump in the boat. You're at a huge disadvantage if you wait until people get to Chicago to deliver your message, because the people don't have 4 days to hang around the show and look at everything and talk to everybody. They're on a relatively strict time frame. We know that attendees on average are going to spend 10 hours on the show floor. And 10 hours is not enough time to see and talk to everybody. So they are being selective about, what they need based upon, what their requirements are.
Okay. Yeah, definitely good tip. So you mentioned the app. So how can people get the app?
Yeah, you can actually go, to either the Google outlet or the Apple outlet, and just to put in the ProMat app, and it should come up, and you should be able to download it and have everything that you need.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we'll definitely, with the blog post that we do with this podcast, we'll have that link posted up for the listeners too as well. So, we kind of went through, some advice for first-time attendees and exhibitors. What do you think, maybe you personally, and maybe what the buzz you're getting from around upcoming attendees, what are the major things that you or people seem to be looking forward to the most this year?
Well, I think the thing that is pretty exciting, and we're hearing a lot of it from that group you just mentioned, the attendees, is the emerging technologies. This can range anywhere from, the artificial intelligence to augmented reality, but what you'll see on the floor are a lot of mobile robots for order fulfillment, and you'll see a lot of the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things reflected in a lot of the equipment and the systems and the solutions. You have traditional material handling equipment, which has been around forever and still continues to fulfill a need. And then you have all sorts of new technology that is coming in interfacing with that more traditional technology. And but the whole e-commerce component of our economy really has a lot of people rethinking how they're doing fulfillment and delivery.
Definitely.
There's just a tremendous need to understand where automation can give you an advantage, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, a 1 million square foot warehouse. People are looking to 3PLs, and some of the smaller warehouses out there are also looking for automation and technology to allow them to be competitive. And we're finding that there's still a huge workforce issue out there. People are having a difficult time finding the people in today's economy to work in warehousing and distribution. And what the automation does is somehow let you fill some of those more mundane types of jobs and create newer jobs that people might migrate to more naturally than the traditional fulfillment, delivery, warehousing, manufacturing type of jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I like the way that you put that too, because I agree, because a lot of people say, automation, robots are going to take away jobs, but I think exactly the same as you think, that it's going to fill in gaps of jobs that people don't necessarily want, or that are so monotonous and so mundane that there's high turnover. And it's going to create these higher level jobs that people are going to be more interested in. I definitely
I think you're absolutely right, and that's what we're seeing. That's what we're hearing from some of the end users that are the people like at REI and their distribution center out in the Phoenix area. Is really included not only automation, but also, a lot of the green aspects to their warehouse, from solar to recycling water to all sorts of different things, with the understanding that it makes a better work environment and attracts more people to fill those jobs that, to your point, are not mundane, monotonous type of jobs that, automation seems to fit well for that, but there's still a lot of very good jobs that aren't being filled. And that's what I think everyone is concerned about, is, getting the younger generation engaged and aware of what this industry can offer to them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think that's actually one of my goals with the New Warehouse blog and podcast, is to kind of give that new age feel, I guess, of coverage of the warehousing, distribution, logistics industry, to kind of reach that younger market and get them more interested, and say hey, there are cool things happening in warehouses besides just moving boxes around.
You're absolutely right, and I applaud you for your efforts to do that. And if we as an association can help you accomplish that, we'd be very excited to support you in that area.
Definitely, I appreciate it. I think the industry as a whole. One of the things I'm definitely trying to do with this is create a place where it's kind of where people from all over the industry can share insights and ideas. That's why we're having guests on the podcast, we're having different individuals contribute to the blog, and it's not just like one centralized place where we're just reporting news. Like, we're actually talking about things that are happening in the future, and how the industry is evolving, and things that people are seeing in different parts of the country, and eventually I'm sure even internationally as well, because as you said, this business is not just a domestic thing, it's all over the world, right?
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back actually and touch on something that you mentioned, in terms of automation and people who have smaller warehouses and smaller space. And I think that, you had an interesting point where these smaller warehouses, small distribution centers, part of, I think, automation as well, in some cases, it can help actually reduce warehouse capacity constraints, because some automation can actually shrink the floor space that's needed, because you can go up with it. And I think that, that's another reason that people who are kind of on the cusp, I guess, or considering taking maybe their smaller distribution business and taking it to, that next technological level of adding some kind of robotics or automation, instead of, throwing a bigger building at something, there may be a different solution that may actually allow you to utilize your space better through automation. And I think that's definitely something, that by going to ProMat, you can see what those options are, and you can see like what can make your operation more efficient. And even with, talks about e-commerce as well. I mean, I think automation is kind of, with the service levels that are being expected nowadays, I think automation is kind of almost getting necessary to that point if you're getting involved in high volume e-commerce. I mean, I think there's no way around it unless, you're hiring this army of staff. But even then, I think you're still struggling to get that service level that people are really expecting now, thanks to Amazon and the giants of e-commerce. So I think you definitely have some good points there. And I mean, there's definitely, I think if, for me, from my perspective, I work in the industry as well. I mean, I think going to ProMat is, it's definitely educational and advantageous as someone working in the industry, whether you're in the position to make that decision to buy something like that for your company or not. I mean, it's good to just see what's out there, and then also, get some ideas on how you could maybe improve your operation now or in the future as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, Kevin. And even if you're just there to absorb the education, you'll leave there with a lot of ideas and things that you can take back and start considering the next day in the office. And it's amazing because people do like to feel and touch and look at the different things that they'll see on the floor. But oftentimes it's just sitting in a educational session and introducing yourself to the person sitting next to you and finding out that you guys might have a lot in common. They do something that you guys are thinking about doing, or just a traditional networking that allows you to see how other people, maybe in your industry or out of your industry, are accomplishing things that could help you.
Definitely, yeah, and you can always learn from those types of things. So what? I think that's an interesting point, because I think a lot of people probably look at ProMat and they may say like, oh, like it's a chance to go, see all the shiny new stuff. But I think maybe sometimes they might miss the educational piece. So, what would be your advice to someone who's trying to convince their boss to let them go on the company dime, I guess? How would you approach that from the educational standpoint?
Well, I think that you look at the cost of travel to get to Chicago for ProMat, and you can offset that. I think just simply, if you just wanted to do pure play education in terms of how many sessions you can sit in, how much information you can get, which is entirely free. There is no cost for that. That you're coming out way ahead based on the cost to attend. But if you couple that with the opportunity to visit with solutions providers, even though you may not have an active project, but the fact of the matter is you might when you get 6 months down the road. Having an awareness of what the art of the possible is makes you, I think, a more valuable asset to the company. Just simply because your learning curve when you do get involved in a project is going to be a lot shorter than it would be if you were coming in from out of the cold.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think so. And like you said, you maybe have nothing going on, but, in our industry, business needs are changing constantly. So you never know what project might come up and, what the rest of your company decides without asking you in the logistics arena first.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's to me, I think one of the things that I always keep in mind is the 15, 16 years ago, I made a call on Kiva. And at that time, I made the appointment. I walked in, and there were basically 2 desks pushed together and 4 people in the room, and that was Kiva. And fast forward, to today, and it's just incredible how those 4 people evolved that company to what it is and what it's contributing, not just to Amazon, but the ideas that it spurred in other ways to fulfill product that are similar, but maybe just a little bit different or taking a different tack. So had it not been for Kiva, you wonder if that avenue ever would have been opened.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it's interesting that you say that, because I mentioned earlier we had somebody, we had Bruce Welty, who's the CEO of Quiet Logistics, on the show, on one of the episodes, and he was actually one of the co-founders of Locust Robotics too. And the Locust bot actually stemmed from Kiva, because they were using Kiva previously, and then Amazon, bought Kiva and said, okay, you guys can't use it anymore. Then they ended up building the Locust. Yeah.
Well, it's incredible. I think I've met more alumni of Kiva since that acquisition by Amazon, and they show up in some really interesting places. And they've added a lot to the industry through their innovation and creativity. And sometimes it comes naturally, and sometimes you're forced to create it. Right? In the case of all of a sudden it's off the market, you gotta figure something out.
Definitely, yeah. And I think the other thing too, that's important for people, especially maybe if you have like a smaller distribution business, when we talk about automation and robotics, there's stuff in there too that's considered in that category that's not necessarily as crazy as like a full-on picking robot or something like that. Like, I know, like, I've worked with pallet wrapping robots as well. So there are like smaller things in that category as well that may be more in line, I guess, with the size and scale of your business. And also,
you bring up a great point, because I think, if people come to ProMat thinking the only thing they're going to see are, $30 million solutions, I think they'll be real surprised. There is, to your point, a lot of scalable technologies that can be implemented fairly inexpensively, and then you can grow them as you grow, or things that weren't even available when ProMat was last on 17 new technologies. I think that innovation center I mentioned earlier, to look at those companies and look at their application in terms of what it is that they're showing there that they feel met the innovation criteria in itself is worth the experience to visit with them.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. So thanks so much, Tom, for all the information. Is there anything else that you think people should know about ProMat or MHI?
I appreciate the opportunity, Kevin, and I think that, there's, like everybody, we've got a ton of information on the website. For MHI, it's just simply mhi.org. And ProMat has its own website up there. But the only thing I would mention today, being the 11th of March and being inside that 4-week window, is that the hotels in Chicago are getting real skinny. There's not a lot of options now. So if you decide to come, I would make it a priority to secure your hotel room. We still have inventory up on our site, If you have a preference for a place to stay, I know it's going to be a really busy week, and hotels are the first thing I think that are going to be difficult to find here in the next couple weeks.
Definitely. And one last question for you. What's your Chicago restaurant recommendation?
I don't want to give it to anybody, so I won't be able to get in, right?
You don't want to fight for reservations, huh?
Yeah. To be honest with you, there are so many great restaurants in Chicago, and I think every year you go back, there's new ones. I mean, the old ones keep on keeping on, and the new ones show up. And depending on what you like, obviously, there's a lot of different things to choose from, but there are just a host of new restaurants that have come on board. One of the things I'll mention to you in all seriousness, we have a company that runs what we call the Bistro, and that's a area of the show where you can reserve a table, and they have a very nice lunch presentation. But they are also, it's a company called Torque and Bottle, and they represent all the restaurants in Chicago. So they're very happy to share with you their recommendation, and I found them to be very accurate in terms of, if you tell them what you like, they can probably tell you 3 or 4 places, and even better yet, they can help you get a reservation there. And that's whether you eat at the Bistro or not. They're just, that's their business, and that's the town that they know best. So, I don't think you have to have a bad meal in Chicago. I think there's just too many good options.
All right, cool. Thank you for that tip. And you said the name of the company is Torque and Bottle?
Torque and Bottle runs an area of the show that we call the Bistro, the ProMat Bistro. Okay. And the people that are taking tickets and kind of facilitating that whole experience work for Torque and Bottle. And they are very happy to share restaurant reservations with anybody that would like to get that information.
Okay, great. So thanks so much, Tom, for coming on the show, and we will see you in Chicago.
I look forward to it, Kevin, and thanks for the opportunity, and we look forward to working for you down the road.
Definitely. We'll stay connected, and that's all for the New Warehouse podcast with Tom Carbott from MHI and ProMat 2019.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.